All right, you're live. Yeah, you're live. Jack, you're more than welcome to join us. We'll swap over to Emily. Oh my God. Absolutely. All right. Okay. All right, guys. So Emily's live. If you want to check her out. Lori, do you have something?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hmm? You talking to me? Ah. So do I have to send you something or?
Just try to buy time.
Okay. Buying time. Yes, I know. I know. Buying time. Okay, so here's a joke that my grandfather told me once. Okay, so there's these two prawns that are swimming through the ocean. One is called Christian, the other is Bob, right? And they come across this shark. And they are immediately terrified because it's a fucking shark. But then the shark goes on his merry way. He is scared away by this cod. And they have to thank the cod for scaring away the shark. And the cod says, well, as it happens, I am a wish-granting cod. And I would be happy to grant either of you a wish. So what Bob does is he says, I wish I was a shark. I'd like that kind of power to be able to strike fear into the hearts of my enemies. So the cod goes to Bob and he goes, okay, you're a shark. And of course, his mate Christian is terrified and he scurries off under a rock, and no matter what Bob does, he can't get Christian to come back out. And he goes back, the cod has disappeared. So it takes him many, many months and years to track this cod down again and to wish to become the way he was before. Lo and behold, his wish is granted. He swims back home and he declares, look, I found cod and I'm a prawn again, Christian. It's a terrible, terrible joke. Please forgive me.
It bought time.
Yes, it certainly did.
It was the closest thing to a transition that we could have.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why we didn't do it in the same room. I think you need to shut the door because I can hear myself.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
For those of you who don't know, we're literally 8 feet away from each other.
Mm-hmm. It's a very agreeable arrangement.
Yeah, that's the perfect distance for us, is 8 feet. No more, no less. So
sorry, I would have told a horror joke, but I don't really know any.
That's fine. What was the last thing you guys were talking about? Your computer, by the way, is ancient.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that was like a.
I got it maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, it runs on coal apparently because it was loading like it was. Well,
it was state of the art when I got it.
Was there a 1 in the year? Oh, I said that wrong. I meant to say 1 to start the year. Bah.
Oh, you're funny. We were talking about what a travesty Nurse 3D or just Nurse was. I'm not sure what kicked off the conversation in the chat, but
yeah,
you can maybe.
Somebody brought it up in the chat, and we just had to shuffle and buy time. So, welcome back, Jack.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for hour 2.
Oh, like my pleasure.
You missed my joke. For the best.
Crap.
So we were talking about Nurse. What kind of led to that discussion?
Well, I think we were talking about horror movies that focused less on male anxieties of the feminine and a little bit more on female anxieties about men. At least that was my takeaway.
Right. Yeah. You're right. So I know you haven't seen this, Emily. What is your thought? I mean, there's see, Love Witch.
Mhm.
Have you seen that, Jack?
I have.
What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I need to preface this right now by saying this.
Mhm.
A, I love that movie.
I
B,
agree. I love it too.
I hate talking about that movie online.
Oh, okay.
I hate
enough.
talking about it online. Because when it first came out and I saw it, I was like, this is brilliant. This is an homage to 60s witch films that takes the feminist perspective, but
Sorry about that.
plays all this loving tribute to the movies, to the really crappy, sexy witch movies of yesteryear that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And watching that done from a completely different perspective, I was like, oh man, no. The fact that we're bringing in actual Wicca, that we're bringing in experiences that the writer director obviously had with people within the pagan community, because I was a big part. I wouldn't say I was a big part, but I was a part of that. And so everything that she brought up, including the fact that there's always this weird kind of short, fat, hairy dude who's just trying to fuck all the other witches. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that dude. I know that guy. You know, I loved it in the fact that she wanted to make it look like a 60s, 70s witch movie or a satanic movie. I was all for it. But the minute I would mention that, people got offended.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What? They're like, no, it's a feminist movie about a strong woman, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't say it wasn't. In fact, I said it was.
Mhm.
But let us enjoy the fact that it is also poking loving fun at the old sexist witch movies of the past. That's part of the point.
I suppose newer audiences might not pick up on that.
Yeah, and that was if you were gonna pick something that was common with all the people I was having arguments with. Well, if that's what you're saying, I would have to absolutely agree, because they all were younger people and they weren't people who were familiar with the horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were people for whom, if I brought up like, oh my God, there's a total Suspiria moment in this movie and it's great, they'd be like, you're acting like she didn't fucking, that this wasn't a completely original film. And I'm like,
whoa.
I don't think there is such a thing as a completely original film. But second of all, the originality comes from what she actually brought, which is doing this from just having a female director do it is already original. That's more original than I can fucking hope for. You know, this thing exceeded all of my expectations. Why are you acting like I don't like and don't get this movie? This movie wears its influences on its sleeve. It does everything. It does everything but actually say, hey, remember that Jesus Franco zoom in and focus fuzzy shot that isn't all his movies? We got it. It does everything but actually just tell you that. And I'm like, here's a female director who is going, look, I love these movies. Are they sexist? Of course they are. They're all about men desiring women. That's going to come with a fair amount of sexism. But I still love them. But I want to subvert that by telling a similar tale from my point of view. And I'm female. I am a female ex-stripper pagan witch. And I want to do a movie from that perspective. And I was like, this is glorious. That's what I liked about it. You know, what other movies do you get to see from that point of view? Like, not even The Craft. You know, The Craft is still kind of a normal, straight, mainstream person's view of everything, including what it means to be a goth chick. you know, so when Love Witch came around, I was like, I was on board with every scene, including when the acting, there were some really annoying critics who were like, I didn't appreciate the acting in this movie. It wasn't that good. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They perfectly recreated the acting of those movies.
Yeah, the look is so distinct too. It
Oh,
looks
it's
like something that was
beautiful.
shot in the 60s, and somehow they had futuristic shit in
Well,
the 60s.
I was amazed. One of the first things that amazed me is that the first shot is a Psycho shot.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'm sitting there going, oh my God, we're going to reference Psycho? Holy shit, I wasn't expecting this. Awesome. You know?
Directors referencing Hitchcock is not a new thing.
No, it's not. But I haven't seen a movie open up like that for a very long time. And I don't know how else to put it, but it was making that move, considering that I had never seen anything by Anna Biller before. Because I hadn't seen her short films. In fact, Love Witch is the reason I discovered her.
Mhm.
I've seen some of them since, but going right for the 60s Psycho reference before then going into the Rosemary's Baby was like, oh no, you know your shit. You know exactly what you're doing. And I'm really happy because I just got done watching The Pretty Thing. What was it? The Pretty Thing in the Attic, which was this homage to Shirley Jackson. And it was bad.
Sorry, guys, I think it's this room.
Okay. Have you seen The Pretty Thing That Lives in the House?
I have not. It rings a few bells.
It's a bad movie.
Oh.
It's a bad movie. It's this loving tribute to Shirley Jackson, but the problem is it sucks.
Oh, that is a shame.
Yeah, and I was in particular, I am going to prove something in a minute. Hold on. On. Hey, babe.
So Emily, this is your channel. It's your month is Stalker month.
Mhm.
So why don't we try to sig you once he proves his point? We're on your channel. I try to take hold. Lee's in the chat. Hello, Lee. Good morning, Lee. Should I say? Jesus
sure.
Christ.
I suppose it would be segueing slightly away from.
So I'm gonna flex a little bit because I'm gonna spread my horror feathers a little bit. In this box,
Okay.
Is now not everyone knows this, but everyone knows who Shirley Jackson is, right?
What? You garbled.
You were a bit garbled.
Yeah.
Oh, Shirley Jackson. Do you both know who she is?
The name rings a bell.
God. Shirley Jackson is the author of, among other things, The Haunting.
Oh,
The original Haunting.
Right.
She also did like the doll that no, not the doll that ate her mother. That was Ramsey Campbell. But We Have Always Lived in the Castle. She wrote The Lottery. She is one of the great female voices of horror. And I had the great privilege of knowing her grandson.
Oh, wow.
Because I was a drug-using lowlife just like he was. And he comes to my house, and we are deeply high. And he looks at me and the Countess's bookshelf. And the Countess is a huge fan of Shirley Jackson. And he goes, "You have all my grandmother's books, man." And I'm like, thanks, because I couldn't figure out what he was fucking talking about. And then he was like, Shirley Jackson, she was my grandmother. And I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? He's like, no, she's my grandmother. You do realize she lived in this area, right? And I was like, oh shit, you're right, she did. Okay. So tell me, sir, what did
you were gonna test him?
Oh, I tested him. And I was like, what did your mother do with her charred remains?
Oh.
And he was like, she put them around her witch's drum.
Mhm.
And so whenever she would perform a ritual, those were the bones of my grandmother around her drum. And I'm like, okay, so you at least, if you're conning me, you at least know your shit. And he's like, no, I really am. I'll prove it to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now, he never proved it to me positively, but he proved it to me enough that I've chosen to believe him. Because one day he comes over to my house and he goes, here. And I'm like, what's this? And he goes, this is a piece of her remains.
What?
Yeah, no shit.
Good gravy.
No joke. If he is to be believed, this is a bone fragment of Shirley Jackson.
Holy
Wow.
Put it back in this little jar and place it back within the prepared reliquary that it sits in my home. Because I had
And there are
known
people out
that's...
there getting horror subscription boxes.
Oh, my God. Like, this is the greatest piece of horror memorabilia I could ever have, with the possible exception if someone said, yeah, by the way, unless like Joe Hill mails me a piece of Stephen King when he dies, you know, like at that point, it'd be like, ooh, neck and neck, right? You know, the queen of horror and the king of horror, you know, like, damn, I'll just have the set at that point. And unless I happen to live long enough for fucking Joe to die and I get one of his bones, then as far as I'm concerned, that's complete, you know. And except I think if I was to have one super macabre piece of horror memorabilia, I think I would like to have Clive Barker's pickled penis.
Does it have to be pickled?
Well, formaldehyde is good enough, you know. Like,
You don't want a mummified one.
Mummified, I don't think would last. I would rather it was in a jar, so I could just.
Or taxidermied. I mean, it would be stretched over a replica penis, but.
Okay, I think in suspended in formaldehyde would be the A+ with honors. But anything less than that would still be an A.
Okay.
So if anyone can make that happen, I'm game.
Lee says this stream was brought to you by Clive Barker's pickled penis.
Yay!
Well, I'm going to choose to let that one through.
I do know his publicist. So
there's a slight chance.
It's a slight chance. It's not a good chance, but it's a slight one. You know, basically, look, if Stephen King, Greg Nicotero, Thomas Savini, and all those people die, I then go on a list where they roll a 20-sided die, and I might get lucky.
So we were talking about Stalker films. Emily is covering for on your channel. Why don't you explain it?
Thank you. So once every year that this channel's been active, so every February is the Stalker month thing that I do. So it's basically just covering Stalker movies, but in my limited experience, it's hard to define what counts as a Stalker movie. There are some that are tales of obsession, and there's some stalking that occurs in the course of slashing people. But not all of them are exclusively about stalking. So like 1 Hour Photo, both Cape Fears, Fatal Attraction are the classic, what you'd expect. But
yeah,
there's others like Swim Fan
films,
that I'm not sure. I think even legally, historically, stalking has been difficult to define.
Well,
like first it was a term used for poaching, and then going after celebrities, and then former lovers. And these days, nobody quite agrees.
What? So you're talking about stalker as opposed to slasher?
Yes.
What's a movie that you would say is on the fence? You're not quite sure.
With regards the slashing.
To regards as to whether or not it's a stalking movie.
Okay, so one of the ones I covered because it was voted for was Single White Female, and I thought maybe it was more of a home invasion flick than a stalker. It's difficult because if she was never let into the house, I'm sure she would be stalking.
Yeah,
it's Bridget Fonda's character, but as is, a bit of a grey area, I think.
Yeah, like to me, a stalking movie, it has to have a disturbing sexual component, which Single White Female definitely does. You know, like there's the sexual desire to not only be the woman, not only be with the man, but to be the woman that she is impersonating. There's this sexual aspect to it.
Identity theft thing almost.
Yeah,
the haircut scene is incredibly disturbing, I think.
Yeah, it is.
The chat is lighting up Peeping Tom.
Peeping Tom
Peeping
is
Tom.
a stalker movie, like flat out. That's easy. So is Blow Up.
I haven't seen that.
Oh my God, like that one's weird. How to put it? I feel like a stalker movie has to have an aspect of voyeurism, which Single White Female doesn't necessarily have. But Blow Up does, because it's a photographer. It's all about photography. And oh my God, that scene where John Lithgow is fucking killing that woman in front of the American flag. Oh my God.
That sounds fascinating. I may have to look into this.
Oh my God,
That's
great
got a
movie.
cartoon release too.
Great movie. It's fucked up. It's so fucked up that John Lithgow felt that he needed to play in the world according to Garp just to fucking spiritually cleanse himself for playing such a misogynistic character and doing it so well.
So they're saying that's Blow Out, not Blow Up.
Blow Out. I'm sorry. I'm a little...
There are two little into the wind.
Close enough.
Yeah,
but
Blow Out.
I think there are two. I think there's a film called Blow Up as well.
There is a film called Blow Up, but I was talking about the John Lithgow film,
right?
The one that John Lithgow's in, which is, I believe, Blow Out.
Body Double, Lee says.
Somebody in the chat says Perfect Blue. I have seen that. It's
Perfect Blue is a stalker movie, but it's a stalker movie from the perspective of the stalked, which was unusual.
Very unusual.
Yeah, it's very unusual.
There's a psychological element of almost being stalked by herself, which I thought was very interesting.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, like that movie gets fucking Jungian. That gets metaphysical and Jungian very quick because Satoshi Kon loved that stuff. I mean, it's not an accident that he did both Perfect Blue and Paprika. Have you seen Paprika? It's not a horror movie, but have you seen it?
I haven't, no.
You should. Paprika is one of the inspiration points for Inception.
Okay.
And we know that absolutely because dude copped to it. It was like, yeah, without Paprika, there'd be no Inception.
No shit.
Oh, no shit. Yeah, no shit. Absolutely. And the thing I love about, I know it's not a horror movie, but would it be all right if I waxed poetic about Paprika for like 3 minutes?
Go on then.
Okay. The thing I love about Paprika is that it sets up a beautiful dilemma, which is the dream girl. The dream girl is a beautiful dilemma, whether you are the dream girl or whether you are that which desires her. Because the problem is this, ultimately, at the end of the story, you don't get the dream girl. She's a dream. And Paprika beautifully talked about both being the dream girl and being that which desires her. I love that movie so much. You know, like that's one of those, like if I want to remember what love is, I turn that soundtrack on. You know, because how to put it, I was that young guy chasing the perfect woman. Of course. Of course.
Sure.
You know, but there does come a time when you're like, the perfect woman only exists in my head. And I still love that perfect woman in my head.
Ooh, Rushmore, good pick.
Yeah.
At Pupil.
At Pupil. Oh, geez. But anyway, we're really quickly before we move on to at Pupil.
I don't think Emily's seen it. I don't think we can talk about it.
No, I'd like to. It's one of these movies.
Oh my God, especially now. Holy shit. But anyway, really quickly, the point is that I feel like everyone who is attracted to women understands the dream girl, the one that is like the ultimate object of not only desire, and this is the important thing, not only desire, but also of
emotional fulfillment
and true love. All of those. And to realize, oh shit, everyone's an individual and they don't exist as a person to fulfill my desires. So I have to learn to be a person that can accept someone who isn't perfect.
I think that's the point of this movie, which I've seen 500 Days of Summer. I didn't want to see it, but I gather that's the point of the movie.
500 Days, that is the point of 500 Days of Summer, but I'm going to be honest, in my opinion, Paprika did it better. Because at the end of the story, no man gets to be with Paprika. But the woman that Paprika comes from finds the man that she loves. And every man who is in love with Paprika realizes he can't have her, but still loves her. And allows her to take him on the journey of discovering masculinity. It's an amazing movie. It's sometimes really hard to interpret because that's a super deep level of interpretation. But I recommend it to everyone because it's a movie that's all about the fulfillment of dreams and the failure of the fulfillment of dreams and how one should be in that circumstance. For those of you who've seen the film, if you're like Jack, because this is a very logical question to have, if a man or even a woman says, who do you identify with most in that movie? The police officer. The police officer who is the closest to in love with the main character as possible, but even he does not get to be with her. But despite that, she gives him something very fucking important, which is his ability to forgive himself and to love with all of his heart, even though it doesn't get to be her. Oh man, the movie is amazing and I love it.
Well, what years are from Paprika?
Paprika, I forget what year it was made. But it's a Satoshi Kon anime. Okay. And I really recommend it.
Is that her real name, or is this like?
Oh God. Okay.
Playing into some kind of exotifying of the character.
Yes.
I don't know.
The answer to both of those questions is yes.
Marvelous.
Yeah, it's really good. I really recommend it. And it's by the director of Perfect Blue.
Oh. Okay, I'll definitely give it a look.
Definitely.
I'm going to go through this chat, and a lot of Stalker movies are being mentioned. Someone says, "Does the Truman Show count?" I'm not really sure.
Yes. Actually, in my opinion, yes. If God is to be a stalker, then the Truman Show counts. Because that movie is about absolute voyeurism, which I feel is the keystone of the stalker film. Obsession with the subject, and that obsession being voyeuristic. You want to see.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons why I feel like Brian De Palma was so good at those types of movies. Because that guy was full of fucking sexual complexes that were all about watching rather than taking part of. And I've always been one of those assholes who's like, if you see two women making out with each other and they give you the eye, what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, in because I want to see those girls smile. And if they're like giving me the eye, that means they want me to join in, and me joining in to make them smile.
You don't want to break out the camera and capture this beautiful moment for them to, remember the.
No, not as much. Not as much. I literally want to be part of the reason that they smile and laugh and go, that was the greatest night of my life.
Sure. I mean, there was one night when I made out with two girls, but it was like separately. They weren't really together.
I don't understand the affinity with threesomes. For some reason, perhaps
what?
Yeah, no, it could call me inferior or whatever, but it just seems like too much. First of all, I don't know. It seems like too much work.
Oh my God. What?
I think part of the allure is, don't you think, are you curious about seeing the person you love from the outside?
So I have abandonment issues. So that might have something to do with it.
Well, so do I, but I still love the threesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I have
the foursome for that.
You don't have enough pieces for a foursome. I don't know how that to happen.
I had enough pieces for the foursome. I was able to make that happen, but I guess maybe not everyone does. But here was the thing. I'll be honest. No fill in the blank number sum is gonna fill that beautiful desire and love and appreciation for the one. That doesn't happen. But
I had one of my friends describe a threesome as like a gift she was giving to her significant other. This feeling of, I trust you. Here is my sexy friend. We're all going to have a nice time. It's going to be great.
I can see it like that. I can see it like that. But that wasn't my experience. Because for me, here's the thing. In my opinion, the foursome is much more attainable than the threesome. Much more attainable. Because now, here is the thing that you have to remember. Boys especially, you take notes right now.
Almost on cue.
Boys, you're learning something in this stream. Everybody.
Yeah. Boys right now, you take fucking notes and you remember this. If you are in a threesome or foursome, it is because a woman has chosen to let it happen.
Unless it's a whole bunch of dudes.
Unless it's two dudes.
Unless it's just pure dudes. Yeah, but if you're a guy who likes girls and you're like, wow, I'm just not sexually fulfilled until I busted a nut either in a woman's vagina or between her tits. Then you best bow down and with great graciousness appreciate all that is female. And I mean truly appreciate. Because if you don't do that, it ain't gonna happen. Why have I been in a foursome? The Countess. Now, why is that the case? Because the Countess figured out the key. She figured out the key to every group sex maneuver, which is someone, preferably a woman. And that's an important detail. A man in this day and age might present certain problems if he is in charge of group sex. But a woman, you don't have to worry about. You have moral clemency if a woman says it's okay. Am I making sense?
Sure.
I suppose, yeah.
Okay. So because of the Countess, she was like, no, you just have to assume that in any group sex situation, you are desired. And you just have to remind people that the only thing that they're going to deal with is the genitalia that is right in front of them. So if you were a woman, you were like, I don't think everyone wants me in this threesome. Throw down. Just go like, I'm sorry, whose vagina is not getting any attention? Whose tits are not being touched? That'd be mine, and that is unacceptable because this is group sex, not you sex.
Sure. The addendum I would add to that is that if there's too many people, there's a chance not everybody is going to be happy. I think to a certain extent, threesomes or menage cinq or however many, there has to be some kind of prior discussion, agreement, or discussion of code words, you know, that kind of thing.
Or as me and the Countess have, as well, more the Countess than I, to be totally honest, has discovered, someone has got to be comfortable being in charge. Because the Countess at one point in our illustrious history was like, there's a foursome happening. I am just going to assume everyone in this foursome is okay with fucking me. So now I get to tell them who is not getting enough attention. You do need a director, but it generally works best if that director is a woman. In my experience, there has been.
We will bear that in mind.
Yeah, please bear that in mind. There's only been one exception that proved the rule, which was my friend. Oh God, it's weird. I don't even know what to call him. But let us put it this way. He was the one man who, during the group sex act, I was completely comfortable telling me what I needed to do. And that was my friend
He's
Jack.
like the Frankenfurter of the group, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No question. Jack Random. I loved that guy. He's lost to us now, but I loved him. And so when he was like, all right, stay there and just wait. I'm about to please your woman. I'm gonna like what a fucking situation to be in. Where you're sitting there with a guy who's like, oh no, I will teach you new levels of pleasure. But on top of that, I'm gonna teach you new levels of ways to pleasure the woman that you're in a relationship with.
That sounds like a pretty sweet deal.
Oh my God, it was amazing. Like, how to put it? I definitely felt like less of a man for a little bit because I was like, Oh my god, I didn't know that stuff. I'm terrible. I'm afraid that you're not gonna love me anymore because I'm not as awesome as he is. Oh god. And she's like, no, 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 no. It's okay. I still love you.
Hmm.
But let's be honest. If I wasn't with you, we know who I would be with. And I'm like, that's fair. That's fair, because when someone takes you to those heights, dude, what are you gonna do? You have to just accept that that's the case.
Yeah. This stream has taken an interesting turn.
I feel weird. Because like I don't want to. I don't want to take over your stream with my stupid sexual exploits.
Oh no, it's I haven't done one of these streams before, so anything goes as far as I'm concerned.
Oh shit. Well, please. What would you like to talk about?
I don't know. I'm not very talkative. I feel like CP is very good at leading a discussion or suggesting topic. That he does that all the time on his. We've been on the R Will streams together, or like he interviews people over on his channel. He's pretty good at it, I'd say.
Okay, so if I may, would it be all right if I switch the focus to you and him?
Oh,
would it be okay?
That depends.
How did you guys meet?
Oh, is Gory still here?
I imagine so, yeah.
Oh, please. I love Gory. That girl is
amazing.
It
was via one of their streams.
But wait, I got the feeling that you were both in the same relative area, like you were in the same apartment.
Yeah. If I scream loud enough, you could hear me in her portion. Yeah.
Okay. So at the time, I was taking part in one of Gory's Women of Horror live streams, and this bastard was in the chat, and he said something that made me laugh. So shortly thereafter, he asked Gory tentatively if he could get a hold of me, and she just dumped my details in his lap. We had an
that sounds like her. Yeah.
We had an interview over on his channel, and for some reason, my connection was the worst that day, and my Skype kept breaking up every 15 minutes. So they had to be sewn together kind of afterwards and never really saw the light of day. But that was a good first meeting. We talked for about 3 hours or so, enough that my legs went numb. And after that,
all right. So I feel like I must ask. Is this a man? Is this a man whose exception proved the rule?
I have not seen anyone else since we hooked up, or whatever you want to call it. So.
Oh my God! So you guys actually are together?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Sure it is.
Yeah, worked out pretty well.
That's beautiful. So dude. I'm gonna tell you right now, a woman who has said that she prefers the touch of the feminine has chosen you to just hang around. That means that after you, no other man will do.
Right. I'll put that on a t-shirt.
Put that on a t-shirt.
That I have to wear at all times.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. It's so weird. We don't always, how to put it, sometimes we don't recognize the one we click with the most, but when it happens, it's so beautiful. You know?
Yeah, no, I was in a very, 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 very long-term relationship. I was in a marriage. I got divorced. and I thought that I married my best friend, and man, was I wrong. Wrong.
You might not have been wrong, because in the words of someone I know, I married my best friend. Turns out you need something more.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always been
Yeah.
kind of skeptical about long-term relationships anyway, because my mother was twice divorced. Never mind that she had some mental health issues. I think she was just that kind of person. She couldn't stick with people.
Well, neither was my mother, but I was dogged and determined myself personally that I would either end up with the right one, or that the reason I remained single was because the gods wanted me to please as many people as possible. I was an arrogant son of a bitch, but don't go away thinking that look, if a girl said I didn't get off, I was crushed. I was like, but that's the one piece of pleasure I know I could have fucking actually done. You know, like, I thought you didn't have to fucking date me. You just had to go, that Jack, he showed me what sexual fucking satisfaction fucking was. And I chose my husband based on that. I'd be like, you know what? Fair fucking enough.
Yeah, I won't be winning any wise with that sort of line of thinking.
Hey, you find one very relatively early on, you don't have to. You know, I still remember the fact that I ran into the Countess, who, this is your stream. How blue should I get?
Again, I think anything goes.
Okay.
And the chat is looking interesting.
Okay, here's the thing. I am never going to say that I didn't have a list, because I did. I had a list, and it was a list of priorities any woman I was with had to have. And one of them was cup size.
How high in the list?
Or love.
Pretty high.
Okay.
Pretty high. I had a fetish. Had, as if I don't still. But I have a fetish, and there was definitely like, no, nothing under double D will do. So the Countess comes along, and the funny thing was, the moment I fell in love with her was something she did to her current boyfriend that he didn't appreciate at the time.
Oh.
Yeah, she's massaging his back with a fucking vibrator. And she just looks over and goes, vibrate your boy once a day. And in that moment, like, I had been attracted to her, but in that moment, I fell in love with her. I was like, I don't know why, but that statement is so adorable. I don't want this woman to ever leave. I want her to be in my life always. And if she rejects me, then I will live with just being the friend.
Wow.
But if she accepts me, I want to be her husband. And 4, 5, I don't remember how many months later. What's June to December is 6 months, right? Okay, 6 months later, I I finally screw up the courage. Oh, and by the way, it's courage to say, I actually would love to have sex with you. And I did. And I was immediately massively embarrassed because I was a young man of like 21.
Mhm.
You know, we'd known each other for 3 years, but unbeknownst to me, I had been chasing her that entire time. It's one of those things where occasionally you're like, why am I here? And you're like, oh, because I've been chasing that girl. And you're like, really? I've been chasing her? Yeah, I was. So I just flat out told her. And I was like, oh my God, I admitted that I wanted to have sex with her. This is where it all fucking falls apart. This is all terrible. It's all bad. Oh my fucking God, what am I doing? And then she had a friend tell me she'd like to see you in her room. Now we were housemates. But the guy she was dating at the time came into my room and was like, she'd like to see you in our room now. And I'm like, oh God. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for 3 rounds, no matter how much it hurts. I'm going to do this. And I go there. And at some point in the middle of all that, she starts talking. She does. She's a great talker. She's a great talker. She's really smart. She's really sharp. She really highly values intelligence. So she talks a lot. But I'm in the middle of doing something to her. And I grab a thing that may be a gag and go, shut up. I love you. I love when you talk, but you're talking right now, and that's a problem. So just put this in your mouth. Sucker bite, I don't care. Because I'm finishing this. And I did. And
Wait.
Yeah. It was a bondage relationship. What can I say? And I finish, and because I'm a young man who really cares about this person because she was one of my best friends, I'm like, oh my God, I totally fucking took over. I totally fucking told her to shut the fuck up. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? I am such a sexist pig. Oh my God. I hate myself. But I didn't leave right away. I held her for a long time because I didn't want her to think that it was her fault. I was like, any shame I felt was purely on me, right? And then over the course of the next few days, she was like, can I hold you? And I'm like, of course. Of course. Why wouldn't you be able to hold me? I've had sex with you. Of course I am open to you being emotional with me. Why would that be a problem? And 3 days into it, she's like, most guys think it's a problem that I love to hold them. And I'm like, why? That doesn't make any sense. Of course I would want to hold you after sex. Like, why? I'm not a monster. I mean, like, come on. You know, like, come on. If you look at me and you're like, you've just given me an orgasm. As far as I'm concerned, I owe you.
Yeah,
And-
I guess.
What was that?
I said, sure, want that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's equitable.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that I held her and she cried a little. And I was like, oh, it's okay. Hey, it's all right. Now, deep down, I'm like, oh God, she regrets fucking me. This is going to be awful. But no, man, it's your job to sit there and be like, be a man and just be like, it's okay. I accept that. This is going to be fine. And a day later, I realize that I haven't noticed that she wrote me a letter that detailed all her feelings, and she just laid everything out bare.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized at that point, oh shit, she's told me everything. But because this was a letter that was stuffed into my bed mattress, I didn't see it for a week. So I finally read it and I'm like, why did you think that I would be ashamed of having sex with you? Like, I have been in love with you since we bonded over Max Headroom, which is a whole other story. But trust me, we bonded over Max Headroom.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, they're saying you got to wind it down here. Carnage Candy's up next for hour 11.
God damn it, I'm such a fuckwit.
I'm kind of a bad, like, I wanted to let you finish, but also there's another person we got to get to.
And it fits the conversation.
Real quick.
She want to let you finish.
All right, let me just real quick.
Okay, yeah, we got 3 minutes.
End of the fucking day, she's like, do you want to hold me? Because I'm afraid you're going to want to not hold me at some point in your future. And I go, no, I'll hold you for all of the end of time if it means that, like, that's what you need. And now we're married. Ba-boom!
Yay.
What a good story.
I'm so sorry. Oh, I hope I didn't, like, make that too awkward.
It's going to be hard to top that in the next hour. We went all over the place.
Well, thank you to everyone for joining us for this thing. Really enjoyed it, even if I didn't have such a handle on this hour. I don't know.
Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry. I'm such a dick.
No, you're not. You have an enrapturing voice, and we just got caught up in it. That's all that happened.
Emily, do you know how to go offline?
There's a button here that says stop broadcast.
That's
so I guess that's it.
That's
oh
it.
God,
right, well-
Emily, will you be on the Count Jacula stream so we can hear more of your voice?
Yeah, if you'd like, sure.
Oh God, no, please, I owe you.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I guess all that's left is for everyone to say their goodbyes.
No, tell them to subscribe and hit that notification
Oh shit, yeah.
bell.
Yeah, to all that, yeah, there's a channel here if you're interested, but you don't have to, but it's there.
Oh, you don't have to.
No, you do have to. The count tells you that you do. Fucking hit subscribe on her fucking YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell because you don't want to miss anything. If you're like, well, I'm
Killjoy's gonna
okay
fucking
with,
kill me.
oh, I'm okay with missing stuff. Well, then fuck you. You don't get to hit that notification bell.
Carnage Candy is up next, and thank you everyone for joining us. All right, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Everybody.
Oh, it was a pleasure
Toodles.
meeting both of you. You guys take care.
See ya.
See ya.
And
It's still